Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Today I'm going to have a go at making a crochet basket using this wooden base which came from that order that I got from One Day Saving just recently. So One Day Saving sent me some products to review, have a go with, show on my YouTube channel and let you all know what I think of them. So I did. I will leave a link to the original unbagging video in the description box so that you can see all the other things. And today I'm just going to be using this, and I've got lots of other projects to do with some of the other bits and pieces that came in that parcel. So I will leave a link to One Day Saving below and to this particular product so that you can check it out for yourselves. I have since I said I would see what I could find out about postage and things, shipping, before I came back to do the next video. It looks like if you go over $50 worth, whatever that is in your particular currency, you get free postage. Under that, I experimented. I tried putting in a very small item like a £2 item and also quite an expensive thing like a £35 item, and either way the shipping seemed to come out at something like £5.44. So I guess the more you spend, the the more reasonable the shipping gets, and if you go over $50 worth, it becomes free altogether. And in my experience, just from them sending the goods to me, they came within about 10 days, I think, of me telling them what I wanted. So I was quite impressed with that, and they're all in good condition and stuff, and I was quite happy with everything. So this is the first actual project. Let me show you what else I'm going to use. And I should mention as well that a couple of other people, I'll get my muggins out of the way because you don't need to see my face. A couple of people, when they saw this, just assumed it was an organiser for embroidery threads, and actually I thought, well, it would work really well as that, because you could just put the loop through and knot it through, couldn't you? Like you usually get those kind of strips with just holes in when you get an embroidery kit, cross stitch kit or whatever, don't you? So that it would actually work really well for that, and you could paint it up, decorate it. It could be really fun. If I get another order from them, I might get a couple more of these, because there's 2 or 3 different things that I thought you could definitely try with this. But today what I want to do is make a crochet basket. I'm not just going to use this as it is, because I did think it's a lovely plain base. You could personalise, you could put someone's name on it, you could paint it different colours or whatever. I'm going to try using some napkin on it. This is one of the napkins that was sent to me in a lovely parcel that came from Deb Wrigley. I'm also going to use some other bits. These little beads came from Jackie Parry, Fabulous Jackson on Discord. Deb Wrigley is just Deborah in the Discord. Jackie is Fabulous Jax. I've also got this wool. I've had a couple of balls of this kit that Jackie has sent me, which I'm kind of saving for my weaving, but I thought it'd be quite fun to see if I could incorporate a little bit of this. And I've got this amazing, I don't know what to call it, like twisted fibres. And this came, Nicole, who I did a stitch swap with, very kindly sent some of this in with the package for me. So this has come all the way from Canada. It's beautiful stuff. I've got some wooden beads. The trouble is it needs to be ones with big holes, so that limits me. A lot of my beads haven't got big enough holes. And it did occur to me that I could thread some big hole buttons on as well, but this will be like later stages. Really, I love the idea of fill with fun stuff. I love the idea of threading some of these on with some beads and using it to decorate the finished basket. What I'm going to use as the base, the main part of it, is this recycled t-shirt yarn that came from a kit. I didn't use it all. I think it was it a macrame kit, or I think it was a macrame kit by Hooked, and the company's called Hooked. But you get different companies make them. And I've also got these 3 balls of yarn that are from t-shirts that I cut up myself as well. Quite like the soft pink of this one. I was hoping it was going to show the brighter side, but it just didn't want to curl that way. So probably I'm thinking these look lovely together, and they look nice with that napkin. So we'll see how that goes. The first thing is to get my base ready, and of course it's going to take me a bit longer because I'm going to do this napkin bit first, but I think it's worth it. I love using napkins to decorate things with. You can just cut motifs out from them, or just use the whole pattern. I want to get some of the little busy bee there, so you need to just use the top layer. You don't want all of the thicknesses of the, sometimes they're 2 or 3 ply, aren't they? and it quite helps to get your fingers a little bit sticky with a bit of glue stick, and then you just go like that and it just takes it apart for you. A bit more. There we go, that's done it. Keep this for when I'm painting and things. If you want to just use a little bit of tissue, say I wanted this bit here, if you just paint a little line of water around it, you can just pull that away and just get the bit you want really easily. And because you've got that nice kind of fluffy edge, it just blends away into the background. It's really nice, rather than having a harsh kind of cut line. I think that's quite nice. That'll do me, I reckon. And I think because I want more of the sort of pink and the warm orangey colour and less of the blue, I might take a bit of this out and put it over the top as well. Give you some matte medium. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. Right, so I'm going to put the matte medium onto the wooden base. It's going to go all in those holes. Hopefully I can sort that out in a minute, but I don't think it's going to matter hugely much anyway. Matte medium's ideal because I can put another coat over the top as well, and just it'll keep it all, it'll seal it all nicely. I think it would look quite nice to use old book paper and things to do this as well, actually. That'd be nice. I might get a little bit of wrinklage, I'm not too bothered. My age, you learn not to care about wrinkles. Okay, let's see how this works. I'm just going to tear that away. Tidy up those edges afterwards, and I'll remake the holes afterwards as well. Definitely wouldn't need to do this. It looks quite nice just as, you know, the wood base looks quite nice, but I just like the look of this. Like, it's like there's a bit there of wood that's not covered. I don't think I'm going to even worry about it, but if I was, I could just take a piece off like I did there and mend it, you know. I might just put this other little spare bee on there as well. I just want just the bee. I don't want that blue and I don't want the green. I'm not going to worry about the white because that'll sort of fade away, but and that's a good example of what I mean, where the edges of that napkin now have just kind of faded away. You can't even see that bee wasn't originally there. I will be keeping that. Oh look, that's a different shape bee. Should I just... Okay, let's have 3 bees. I like 3s. Let's see those edges just fade away. Love that. Keep that tiny bee. I can probably bear to throw these bits away. I'm going to remake these holes now while it's still all soft. Right, here we go. So that's all ready to go now. I've used a combination of just poked it with the wrong end of my crochet hook. I also had this little needle file. If you haven't got one of these in your craft room, you might have one in the shed or something wherever you keep your tools. They're really handy things actually. I've got a whole set of them. And just an emery board just to sort of tidy up the back a bit. I don't think it's going to matter here. I don't think you're really going to see these bits around the edges, but if it does bother you, it doesn't take much to just tidy up those little bits. Last little bit's annoying me. There we go. I've got these in all different shapes and sizes. They're really handy when I'm making miniatures as well. For all kinds of things actually. You couldn't get a normal file inside a hole, could you, like that? So now I'm ready to start my crocheting. With this kind of a yarn, I should be using quite a fat hook really, probably at least this one, which is a 6. Or maybe even bigger. I mean, I've got them right up to huge. My kind of middling size one seems to be missing. I think I might have lent it out. That's going to be too big. I've got a 6.5, but at this stage I need to be going through the holes and pulling, so that is going to be a bit too snug. It's not going to go through with the yarn on it, so I've got to, I think I'll try a 5 for this bit, leave myself a bit of a tail to play with. And I'm not going to start on one of the more awkward bits. I'm going to start halfway down a side because I'm going to need to increase here and here and here, and I'm going to have to join for each new round, so it's going to be easier to do that in the middle of a side. So I'm going to start on a side. Okay, so for this first row I'm basically casting on, and you can see that that's about the fattest hook that I can comfortably get through the hole and pull it back through with the yarn on it. Any bigger than that and I would be struggling. So just, you know, if you've got one of these, just check in what size holes you've got, what hook you're using, and it also depends on what yarn you're using, the thickness of that as well. I mean, you could do this with double up 2 different colours of like double knitting wool and pull them both through at the same time. That would make it thick enough. So I kind of wish I had more of these to experiment with, because there's a few ideas I'd like to try. I think weaving could work as well. Okay, so I'll start again and actually explain what I'm doing. So I'm going to leave myself a bit of a tail to play with. I'll weave that in later. I've put the yarn around the hook and I'm just pulling that loop through. Leave the tail dangling, keep hold of my working yarn, and I'm putting the yarn around the hook and pulling it back through that loop again. Now I'm going into the next hole, yarn around, pull the loop through. I've got 2 loops on the hook, yarn around the hook again, pull it through both loops on the hook. And I'm just going to do that in every hole along till I get to here, and then I'll come back and show you, tell you what, because I need to do an extra stitch there. Okay, so I'm just finishing that last hole along the side there, and now I've come to this one at the point of the heart. So I'm going to need to put 3 stitches in there so that it will turn the corner nice and neatly and create a nice point there. But I'm doing it exactly the same way. So pulling the loop through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn around the hook and pull it through both loops. And I'm going to have to go in again. Don't know if this is going to go through to make 3. I might have to make 2 and hope that that's enough. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get 3 in there. No. Oh, there's no way I'll get another one in there. Okay, we'll have to hope that 2 is going to be enough to make it turn the corner. So now I'll carry on all the way up to about here, and where I've got like where it starts to curve, so, well, it's curving all the way, isn't it? But let me think. About here, this one, when I'm 7 away from there, so on that 7th hole there, I'm going to put 2 in again, like I just have there, to kind of help it to turn the corner nicely. I think that will work. I've seen various options in different tutorials, but I couldn't find many doing this heart shape. I think this is probably the most awkward part. This is going to be the most awkward part of the whole project, doing this. Once you get past this stage, it'll get a lot easier. Okay, I'm going to do that and I'll stop when I get to here and show you again the going in twice. I've worked my way up here, and now I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th hole from that point, so I'm going to go for that. I don't think it's crucial which one I pick. I just want to pick the same one each time, so I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll increase in that hole as well so that it looks sort of even. So I'm going to do 2 stitches into this hole. So put my hook through, pull a loop through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn around the hook again, pull it through both loops on the hook, and now go back into that same hole. Oh, that is a little bit awkward pulling that through, but you can do it. There we go. And now I'm gonna work my way around until I get to the 7th hole from the centre again. I don't think I need to increase here. I think it'll be fine, but I'll see how it looks once I've done it. I might change my mind about that. Kind of making it up as I go along. Can you tell? Okay, so I tried it both ways and I decided that I got a slightly nicer point if I put an extra stitch in there. I'll go back and show you. See what you think, because you could do it both ways. So if I take out one of those, so I mean it just slightly rounds off the point. I think it gave me a better look with 2 stitches in that hole. So I'm going to do that and then do 2 stitches in this hole again, this. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th, and then come back to here, and then I'll show you how you do the join bit. I'm just coming to the last empty hole there, making my last little American single crochet, English double crochet. So I've now got a stitch in every hole all the way around. In fact, I've got 2 stitches in some of them, haven't I? If I just go straight into here, into the next stitch, I'm going to end up with kind of a spiral. I don't really want that. I could just link with a slip stitch and do a chain, but I'd end up with kind of a seam there, which I don't want either. So I'm going to try this invisible join, which is new to me, but I've watched a few tutorials, so I think I'm okay. I hope so. So I'm going to put up a good bit of this loop a minute so I don't lose it. And I'm going to go onto my bigger size hook, which is what I'm going to be using now. And I'm going to go in from the back, and I'm going to pick up, you see these 2 here. I'm going to go underneath both of those from the back. Put this loop over my hook. It would be a lot less awkward if I wasn't trying to do it at this angle so you can see, and pull that loop through to the back. Take the hook out, grab hold of it. So I've still got my tail there, I'm ignoring that for the time being, and now I'm ready to make my first stitch on the second row. If you were doing like normal kind of double crochet or whatever, you'd be going in through here to make your next stitch, or in some cases you'd be going just through the front or back loop of the stitch. In this case, I'm not going to be doing that because I want this kind of knit effect stitch that I've seen. So instead of going into these loops here, what I'm going to be doing is going through the middle of you see this V here? I'm going in through the middle of that each time. So I'm going to be going in there. And it's going to be this first row with the bigger size hook, with them being tight up against this wood, is going to be awkward, but it's going to get really easy after that. So the first stitch of this row, row 2, is this one. So I'm holding this out of the way for a minute, but I'm keeping tight hold of it. I don't want it coming undone. And I'm going to go through right into the middle of that V, like that. And I'm going to pull through my working yarn, not the tail. I'm going to put that round my hook and pull it all the way through, right through the middle of that stitch. Like I say, going into this now sort of tighter stitch because I've been on a smaller hook and right butted up against the wood. It's going to be a bit awkward, this first one. And now I'm going to put the loop through, the hook through this loop as well, this one that I've been holding, and then put the yarn around the hook and pull it through both stitches on the hook. So now I'm going to go into the next stitch. So remembering I'm not going in here like you would when you're making a normal double crochet or whatever. I'm going into this part of the stitch, and I'm aiming to go right in that centre of that V there, which is a little bit awkward on this first one, but you can do it. So now I've got 2 loops on my hook, yarn around the hook, pull it back through. I don't need to, I could put in a stitch marker here, it wouldn't hurt. I suppose I could do it, it's been a safe side, but in fact it's going to be fairly obvious when I get to that step, so I probably don't really need to do it, but let's just put that in. And now I'm just going to do 1 stitch in every stitch around the row. I don't need to increase any more or anything. I'm just going to go straight up until the walls of my basket are high enough, unless at some point I decide I want to try a different colour. I'm just going to get this first couple of rows done and see how it's looking. It could be that I will change my mind and end up wanting to go back and change that extra stitch that I put in here, in which case I will let you know. Hopefully I've judged it about right. I'll just show you one more stitch so you can see that hole in the middle there that I'm aiming to go through. There we go. Pull 1 loop through. Brilliant. And that should make a nice kind of knit effect stitch, which I'll come back and show you in a mo. Okay, I've come back sooner than I intended to because I've realised something and I thought I would share that with you. So I've taken it back to the stage where I'm just stitching into that last hole. Oh, I was going to say, why is that proving difficult? Because I got the wrong size needle. Let's go back to this one a minute. And what I've realised is that the kind of knit effect stitch that I'm after is going to have a right and a wrong side. And the way I was doing it, I was going to end up with the right side on the inside of the basket, and I want it the other way around. So I'm going to just pull a long loop through there because I don't want to pull this loop out. And what I'm going to do now is just turn all this stitching over. This does mean that my pretty base now is going to be on the bottom, not on the outside of the bottom, not sort of inside as you look at it, but I guess that's okay because it's going to be full of stuff anyway, so maybe it's good that it's the outside. Maybe I just should have done both sides. Okay, so I've just kind of sort of almost turned it all inside out like that. And I'm going to do the same, exactly the same thing again. Put a bit longer loop up through, take my larger size hook I'm going to be working with now, come through from the back and pull that loop all the way through to the back. Take the hook out a minute and just hold on to this. So again, ignoring my tail, here's my working thread. The first stitch of the second row is this one. Here, and I'm going in there right in the middle of that stitch. I'm not going into this bit or this bit. I'm going right into that hole you see in the middle there. Pull yarn around the hook, pull that yarn through, add that loop that I'm hanging on to, yarn around the hook again and pull it through both. So now I've done that invisible join. The next stitch is this one, and I'm going in there right in the middle of that hole, right there, not here and here like you would normally, but right in the middle of this, and it ends up with this kind of knitted look. It's really nice. I haven't done this stitch before myself, so this is going to be an awkward row and it's going to take me a while, but it'll be fun once this bit's out of the way. Pull the yarn through, 2 loops on the hook, yarn around the hook again, pull it back through both loops. I'll just do one more so I can show you that knitted kind of effect start to appear. There you go. So it kind of looks like a knitted stitch there. It'll be more obvious as we go along, but on the back it wasn't going to look quite so pretty in my mind, so that's why I've done what I've just done. But I'm going to carry on now and work my way right around. I did warn you I'm making this up as I go along. Okay, just coming back again to show you something else I've discovered. So where with this new fatter hook, it's just impossible for me to get into the part of the stitch that I want to, so I want to go in there right through the middle of that stitch, and I'm really struggling to get it through. What I'm doing is leaving the hook there with the stitch on it, going in to the stitch with this smaller hook, which is easier to wiggle in, pulling the yarn through that way, and then going back to this hook. So it's just kind of helping me get through that awkward bit. And in the next row, because I've been making these stitches with a bigger hook, I'm not going to be, and I'm not going to be bang up against the wood. I'm not going to have that problem so much. So this one's going to be a tricky one because I've got the 2 stitches. This was my 7th hole. I've got the 2 stitches in here, so it's just too tight to get in. I found also that I couldn't get into both stitches that I'd put, the extra stitches I'd put here, so in hindsight I wouldn't bother putting 2 stitches there again. It's also made a little lump there, but at this stage it's been quite hard work getting around to here, and I can't quite be bothered undoing it. I don't think it's enough of a problem to be worth the hassle, really. I am starting to get this nice sort of knit looking stitch, where as you can see now the inside isn't going to look quite the same. I think it'd be more apparent once I've done a couple more rows. It's not easy, this bit. It would be a lot easier if I was just doing normal crochet, what I'm calling normal crochet, where I would just go in there. It's a hell of a lot easier. But I just really liked the look of that knit stitch, and I'm not going to give in just because it's a bit tricky. Okay, back in a mo. Okay, so I've worked my way all the way around now. It's going to feel fairly solid, I think. It's quite tightly done on this, you know, big hook with this fat yarn. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty solid thing. And it's tending to slightly come out because I did those extra stitches here and here. I quite like that. I like the idea of it slightly coming out that way. I guess if you didn't bother doing that, it might be a bit easier, especially in this initial stage, and it would probably just come up straighter. I don't know. Yet to see. As I said before, I kind of wish I had a few of these to experiment with now. Another idea that I've seen people suggest is weaving another piece of yarn in and out here to completely lose these holes, which I think is probably something I will do. But that'll be for a bit later on. So I've just done the last stitch of this round. Forgot to put my stitch marker in this time, but it's fairly obvious because you've got a kind of a step there, and also I've still got my end, my tail where I first went in. So I'm going to do the same thing again, like that. And this is where I would put a marker in if I wanted to. I'm going to bother. It seemed fairly obvious before. And you can see on this first row, if I just pull that tail to tighten everything up a bit, it's not quite as perfect as the other rows, but you're barely going to notice the difference. It's not like left kind of a seam as you would get if you just slip stitched over and carried on, and did a chain and carried on. You can see it's starting to make that nice kind of knit shape stitch now. So you can see if I just do say 2 or 3 stitches just in what I call them going into the normal thing, so I would just be going in here. If you wanted to do it this way, it would be a lot easier. So I'm just going in the hole there. Oops. You can see how much quicker it is. And actually it looks fine. I don't know if it is worth me putting myself through the hassle of what I'm trying to do right now, because it'd be a lot easier to do what I've just done, and it's obviously is going to grow quicker. So you definitely could do that if you wanted. I don't think it's going to make any appreciable difference, but I'm being stubborn now. So I'll see you in a bit when I've finished going around perhaps 3 more rounds, and then I'll think about maybe adding a stripe or something. I don't know, or I might just weave a stripe in afterwards instead, just thread them through. Let's come into the last stitch of this row, going through the middle of the stitch, making sure it's the same on the back, pulling it through. I have to say, this is quite hard work on your hands. If you've got problems with manual dexterity or whatever, or arthritis, anything like that, I wouldn't recommend this. Or do it in small doses and give yourself a rest in between. Okay, so that's the last one of that row, and now I'm just going to pull that loop up a bit like I did before. Oop. Go through here, oops, and pull that loop through to the back. There you go. So that's not perfect, that join there, and I think I've made a couple of mistakes, but actually it's not bad. I don't think, you know, you'd notice it if you weren't looking for it. And I know where I've made mistakes that I will put right next time. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So I've decided that this is deep enough to be a useful basket. So I'm gonna finish here and just do a last kind of finishing row. For this finishing row, I'm not going to be going into the middle of each stitch now. So I'm not going in. What I've been doing is going in here and here and here. Now I'm going to be doing more like normal crochet and going in here and here and here. So here's the first stitch of this last row. I'm still keeping hold of that, and I'm going to pull a loop through. Then I'm going to, just like I did before, add that loop that I've been hanging on to there. There we go. It's got 2 loops on the hook. Yarn around the hook again and pull it through both loops at the same time. So now for this very last row, I'm going to be going in this bit here, and going underneath both parts of that V shape you can see there. Pulling a loop through, yarn around the hook again, pulling it through both loops on the hook, going in there, under both parts of the V, so you get this more of a kind of a plaited effect just to finish off the top edge, which I think is quite nice. So I'm going to do that all the way around and then I'll come back. So I've just come to the end of the last row I'm going to do now, so I need to work out how to finish this off. Need a pair of scissors. Here it is. It's kind of an invisible join, but I've still got to weave the end in. Right, let's take it through there, that'll be more invisible. So now all I need to do is weave both these ends in, and then I've got the bases of my basket, and it's amazing how firm that is actually. I think that's going to be quite a robust little basket. It's interesting how the shape has gone here, but I quite like it, and I think this would be a perfect thing to keep things like these beautiful little doodle rolls, snippet rolls that Maggie Morris sent me. I mean, what a lovely place to keep these, filled with fun. So I will be back tomorrow. I think that the main part of this has been done within a couple of hours. Quite hard work on the hands. I think if I wasn't trying to finish this video, I probably would have done it over sort of 3 or 4 days to give my hands a rest in between, but not difficult to do. I want to do some finishing touches, so I think I might try using this t-shirt yarn that I made myself and just weave that in and out of these holes to kind of hide the holes and finish it all off, and maybe do some kind of a little decorative piece around the top. I also still would like to incorporate some of this because I think that would just look really pretty with some of the beads and things. I'd love to bring some of this in. I've done kind of the basis of the basket has happened within a couple of hours, including adding the napkin decoupage to the base, which I really love. But I think probably I'll spend a couple more hours just threading some beads and fibres and things in and out to make it look more interesting, really. So I will come back and show you how that turns out in a minute. It's the next day. I've only got about half an hour left to finish this before Tom arrives, because we're going to be doing the live stream in a minute. I've had an experiment with a few ideas. I can't find my bodkin, which would have made things easier. Can't find a single one, so I'm going to have to make do with using a crochet hook to weave this in and out. I've tried with this and I couldn't make it work. I might still have another go with this later and just thread some beads onto it and thread it in and out, but for the time being I can't make it look right, so I'm just going to find a way to finish this reasonably quickly so that I can get this video finished, and then I might embellish a bit further and share some photos later on. So I've just used the crochet hook to just pull some of this t-shirt yarn through. So this is the t-shirt yarn that I made myself. It's a bit thinner than this is, but that won't matter for this purpose. I've left myself a good tail because I'm going to tie that in a bow in a minute, and now because I don't have a bodkin, I'm just going to use the crochet hook to weave this in and out. There we go, and I'm going to thread the words onto here. So to get the words through the yarn through the beads, I'll make sure I get the words in the right order as well. I'm using this crochet hook. It's a bit fiddly, but I managed to get it to work just now, so there we go. Make sure I get the right words in the right order and the right way up. Oh, it doesn't want to go through that seam. Marvellous. So let's try again. I hope this is going to work. Get the next word on. So it's got to be that way round. So love these little word beads. Very cute. That. That gives it a little pop of colour and interest, I guess. Right, I'm going to carry on working my way round, and I'll be back in. I've finished threading it all the way round. I've got my two long tails here. I'm just going to tie that in a bow. I'm not the best at tying bows. And then I'm going to wrangle this yarn through this bead, wooden bead, to finish it off. Tie a little knot. Stop it coming off. Might end up shortening that later, but I'll do for now. And then I've got a little pink bead to go on this one. And then through the bottom, I've used more of my homemade t-shirt yarn and just threaded in and out to kind of cover those holes in the bottom and just add a nice little finishing touch. And then what I've done is I sort of started here, worked all the way around, and then took the two ends and kind of overlapped them, so went back through the holes again. I've actually kind of done, like, in effect, a double stitch, about sort of 5 double stitches there just to hold them in. I'm just going to snip them and put a bit of glue there. I think they're in so tightly they're unlikely to come out anyway. But if I wanted to, I could probably weave them in and out of the body of the basket. Actually, that would work as well. I just want to do something just to finish it off. I think it's a nice little detail, as well as covering up those holes. It's a bit much glue, but it will dry clear, and that will sink in a bit anyway. Fill with fun stuff. Okay then, I don't mind if I do. That's quite cute, isn't it? I think I probably will carry on and add some beading and stuff to it, but I think for the purposes of this video, it's like showing how to use that wooden base, I think that's enough. I definitely will try and get hold of some more of these, perhaps in different shapes as well, to try, because I think there's a lot you could do with this. It's made a lovely firm basket, and wouldn't it be a nice way to give, like, a gift or something, instead of using, you know, throwaway packaging and stuff? Just present a little gift in here. It'd be really nice. Thanks very much for joining me today. I need to go and get myself ready for the live stream now, which by the time you see this will be yesterday. I wish I really had a time travel machine. It'd be really useful. I hope you enjoyed that. As I said, I will leave all the relevant links to One Day Saving and this particular this particular product below, so you can check it out for yourselves if you would like to. So thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you again really soon.